This video I am going to repair a broken ground stud. This right here is my original ground stud on this truck, this Freightliner, and it broke off a number of years ago, and I made this adapter here, which is finally had to be repaired, and I bolted the adapter on right here to there's 4 bolts here. The other side of that is my air dryers mounted on the other side of those. Well, I took a nut off in the bolt and ground this down flat, made this adapter out of a piece of metal. I cut to size and put it on there, and just steel to steel bolted it down tight, and it's been working good until now. When I did changed my batteries here recently, a couple of weeks ago, had a comment about that somebody saw something that I missed. Of course, I was inside the truck starting the truck when it happened, and some sparks flew across the top of the battery box, and the guy left a comment and brought my attention to it, and I thanked him and said, well, when I get a chance, I'll make sure everything's tight. Well, the nut that was on this was certainly tight. Not this nut here where my thumb is, but the bolt that came through this hole here that those cables were on. It was certainly tight. Too tight, actually. What happened was the threads rusted up on it when I put a new cable on. The threads were rusted up, and it bottomed out, and it seized up, and they weren't tight yet. Not quite tight, almost, but not tight. I didn't know that because like I said, the nut tightened down real tight. Well, I was able to move these cables, and that's why the spark came across there. Well, it was starting to give me a little bit of trouble starting. Not trouble, but it was a little slow. And so I just kind of twisted these cables a little bit and wedged them into each other until I had a chance to bring the truck back home. So I said all that to say I'm going to redo this, and what I'm going to do is not here. Here I'm going to knock this bolt out, and I'll grind this down smooth like it was before. But on this adapter, you can see it's shiny. I ground it down again. I'm going to take a torch and a brazing rod and clear up the misconception of what brazing is. Brazing is soldering with brass. A lot of people think it's just any kind of torch welding. Well, it's not really. That's not really what it is. It's soldering with brass, and I'm going to do that on all of these surfaces that are polished up here so that they don't rust again, and it'll be easier to keep them clean next time I have to change cables or something. So get myself in a position where I can do this here. I had a little trouble finding my brazing rods. They're over here by the stick welder, and they're in this tube. I haven't used them in many years. I don't know how many. I would not be surprised if it's 20 years since I've used a brazing rod. So there's still a sticker on the tube. Anyway, I'll take one of these out of here. I think one will be enough. My handy little welding table there, a piece of channel iron that I don't know where I found that thing at, but I've been using it for a small welding table for a long time. So what I'm going to do is heat up this metal with a torch. I'm just going to use the cutting torch tip on it, because I'm just going to heat this thing up to where that brass will flow on it like solder, and we'll grind it down smooth. That way that won't rust anymore. And I still have not learned how to do welding videos and get the light right yet. I'll be working on that this winter, I hope, inside the shop. But this is mid-October, and winter's around the corner, so pretty soon we'll be getting on that. Let's see what happens here. don't know what temperature brass has to get to melt. It's up there though. It's going to be probably in the 1800 degree range, I'm going to guess. It's not like solder that melts around, I don't know, 500 or somewhere in there. But it has to flow onto the steel. We're already getting red hot. We should be there. Oh yeah, it's flowing on there. I don't know if you saw that, but I sure did. But it will not flow on there if it's not very clean and smooth. I'm hoping you can see that. I'm going to do the other side here. And this worked without the brass. For a number of years, actually the bolt holding the cables on went bad, nothing else. But I just thought, for the sake of the video, this is really the best way to do it, so that it doesn't rust again. Let that cool down a little bit, and then I'll dunk it in some water so I can grind it off. I'm ready to put this part on there now. Where am I? Okay. Got this all polished up in here. I may not be able to tell, but it's shiny. So I'm going to go on ahead and bolt that down. I can't do it with the camera because of where I'm at. Got that bolted down. Now I'm going to clean these up again with some 400 paper because they were arcing a little bit. I'm ready to put this on. One thing I don't like, but I didn't have any choice, is I wanted to go with stainless steel bolts so they don't rust again, and I could not get one that was threaded all the way down. I could, but it was going to be an inch shorter than this one. That's Home Depot, you know, they're not big on stainless steel bolts. And it's Saturday, so I can't really go to a fastener supply. So it's what I got to work with. Well, it's all tightened up, and they are tight. I can't move that cable at all. That's good. Okay, I hope that helps someone. Once again, this video is about repairing. It's just another way you can make a good repair in case you break the ground stud off, which is right here on this one. This was my ground stud, but it's broke off. There's one like that in the front too. If it ever breaks off, I'll have to do the same thing. What I mean by the front is up by the starter on the motor. Alright, thank you for watching. The last thing I need to do, I forgot to do this at home, and I'm at work now, and so I went in the shop here at my job and got a can of primer paint from them, because I don't like all the slop that where I have to work at that gets thrown up on everything. So there we go. Okay.